All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we are going to watch Drakova versus a druid. Now, just to preempt this, this is Drakova on Faralina in a dueling tournament on his alt Ruklar, which is a undergeared, theoretically, but he's specifically designed to be a flat proc paladin. So the paladin setup basically lives in like T1. Eventually it upgrades to T2, but basically it's using flat proc items like a Deathbringer and like a Maelstrom Trinket. And I've done the rogue duels. I've done the druid duels. I really want to see him fight a hunter, and it is coming up next. But while I was looking for this duel, I found this. And if you've been following if you've been following this duel commentary series, which started with it starts with a rogue, and then I go into the druid matchup, and then I'm ending on the hunter in this particular case. And I've been talking about our boy here, which I keep referring to as the Dancing Queen, because he's a little hyperactive and a little OCD. And right before the Ruklar duel, we get to witness something like this on the live stream, and it brought up something kind of interesting to my mind, which I'm both laughing and I'm recognizing this is not something to laugh at whatsoever. But how do I explain this? It's like, on a lot of streams and whatnot, you see a lot of women with like a lot of cleavage, or they're just trying to look sexy, and that's how they get a lot of views. This is like the male incel version of that, which has me laughing my ass off, because Lord knows I've probably done shit like this before. But while I'm watching him doing, we're going to say he's doing his stretching routine, which is, damn, dude, you are flexible as fuck. I'm not going to lie. That is ridiculous. But looking at this from like if this was like a hot girl doing this would be much more entertaining. But because it's our Dancing Queen boy here, this is just absolutely hilarious to me. So he's gonna stretch it out a bit. Yeah, he's going to pick up his socks with his toes. Yeah, okay, I've been there. We've all done that. I'm going to put it in the mouth. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping he's making fun of girls that do stuff like this and look sexy, and just how bad it is when it's a male doing this. But maybe you're a girl and maybe this is your thing. Dude, if you can get both socks in your mouth, I'm going to be impressed. You're going to be yeah, that's what I thought. You're going to be choking on that shit. Thank you, bro. We love you. All right, cool. Anyways, we're all nerds. We're all classic WoW nerds. It is what it is. So yeah, so we have Hunter versus Ruklar over here. You can see how Ruklar is in his T1 with his T2 helmet. Ah, that was beautiful. I just can't get over that. That was a work of art. I love it. I love seeing what things look like in a gender reversal scenario from time to time. One sec, I'm going to take a drink of water. All right, moving on. All right, serious time, boys. We're going to be watching Ruklar in his Tier 1 and his mighty T2 helm with his Deathbringer. One thing I did not mention is that Ruklar in these duels, all of these duels, he's a full prot paladin. He's got Holy Shield. He's no points in Holy. He's got 31 or more in his... I guess the duel's already starting. He's got 31 or more in his protection tree, and then he went down into the... He went down into Ret tree far enough to get 5 out of 5 parry. Moral of the story is, if his readout is up, and typically his readout is up, he's going to be blocking things like Gouge and Scattershot at like a 70% chance or more. And the reason why I bring that up is because it's like, he has a 65% chance to block, and then he's got a 10% chance to parry, and then he's got like a 2% chance to dodge. With Scattershot, maybe you can't dodge, but you get the point. So I do believe his win condition versus our Hunter friend here is going to be... Didn't get a chance to Ice Trap? That's interesting. His win condition is just going to be to hopefully block the Scatter Shot and just get all over this Hunter and basically maul the shit out of them. One nice thing, though, is he does have Reckoning. I think those are speed boots, if I'm wrong. Let me check. He's running really fast for no reason that I can really tell. Oh, it's just the zoomed in perspective. Okay. Yeah, so versus the hunter, hunters are at their most dangerous when the hunters have mana. So he might kill the pet here. There's so many options to do for victory against a hunter, but typically your combat plan is you want to kill the pet at some point, theoretically. He's keeping the pet on him right now because the pet is a damage increase for him, and he's going to try to make something like that, something with that work. If it doesn't work, though, he's probably definitely going to go for a kill on the pet with his, and then he's just going to... You really want to wear the hunter's mana down. So basically how this matchup works is, in my opinion... If the hunter has mana, you need to be wary of your life bar. Like, you need to keep your life nice and high and healthy. Otherwise, bad things can happen to you, especially if RNGesus comes knocking. If you do not... If the hunter is out of mana, though, you can be more aggressive. So the fact that Ruklar and Drakova and the hunter are still low on mana makes me a little nervous for Ruklar if he keeps chasing here. But we're going to see where this goes. He's definitely keeping the pet on him for DPS purposes. Frost Reflector. Okay, so he's decided he's going to try to make a pure DPS play from the word go. That was kind of obvious. It was either that or he was an idiot, right? And Drakova's not an idiot. So it was kind of obvious when he was pushing so hard and not doing anything to the pet that this is his battle strategy. We'll see if it actually works. So that scatter shot connected... I think he needs to go a more endurance playstyle now, but we'll see what he does. So hopefully he starts beating on this pet a bit. Hopefully he starts trying to get some distance. Hopefully he's doing the jumping, hitting the pet. No, maybe he's just going for it. Okay. Oh, he got the stun. Oh, this is really bad for the hunter. This is actually a fascinating play. Maybe he saw him put the trap down. That would be really pimp if he actually intended to do this. So I'm trying to see the hunter, Where's the trap, Senor Hunter? Okay, yeah, you see the little, like, weird stop shit that the hunter did right there? So you can barely see it right here. So the hunter's, like, running, like, normal, and then all of a sudden... Yeah, okay, so the hunter's running normal. Ah, come on, bro. Running normal. Still watching. Okay, the hunter stops. And the hunter does this little... dippy dip, right? And he's like, I'm going to stop right here. Why do you think they're stopping? The answer is they're putting down a trap, but they're trying to hide the fact that there's a trap here. So since Ruklar is a pimp, he throws his stun right now. But he gets trapped anyways. But because it's a stun and a trap, this is actually really good for Ruklar. Because it means that the hunter will have very little time to recover. So he's going to try, but it's already out. Yeah, he's already out. He's already gone. So he's going to throw a grenade. Yep. And the hunter might just die. The hunter might just explode right here. You can use bubble on this. Are we all in? Is that what we're doing? Oh, yeah, we're all in. He's got bubble behind this. Oh, he's got FAP. Right. So in these dueling tournaments, this is either freedom or FAP. But in these dueling tournaments, they might have changed it because I haven't seen it too much. FAPs are actually allowed, which is kind of terrifying. So I think... yeah, he's just going to go absolutely ham on the hunter here, and the hunter is just going to die horribly, primarily because, oh, yeah, you see the trap went down. Or you have to be at least alarmed when you see a feigned death that a trap went down. So you see blip, blip. See how the hunter just kind of, you'll see it in a second. Yeah, right there. See how the hunter did a little dippy-do, and they're back up again, and Drakova's immediately like, I don't want none of that shit. So he doesn't want to get trapped. He's just going to wear him down with a hammer of wrath, and the first duel is over. I'm curious what the commentary is.
Okay, that was dope. I'm sorry. He like threw something at him and then he died. That was cool. Okay, that was
Threw something at him and he died. Yes, he did. You are correct. Let me check to make sure I'm recording this. Holy crap! All right, bro. Yeah, our commentator does not know the Paladin very well at all. Period, end of story. But he's a horde player, so you can't really expect him to. Which is all the more wins for us, baby. So, is that the last duel? Was that the second duel? Am I just retarded or something? So, we had you dancing around with your feet and socks and we're immediately going on to do a different duel. Okay. Well, I'm going to pause it, and I'm actually going to find the first duel between the hunter and the paladin. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I guess I had to go talk to Drakova about this one, but basically what he's saying is that in both of his duels against the hunter, he went full aggro, and he was chaining together his trinkets because barely held on to LOH, though. So I guess he didn't have to LOH during any of these. But he could use LOH and free action potion, so he decided that he would just go ham, and he would use his trinkets, and as we saw there, that beautiful stun to counter the ice traps as best as he could. What sucks about this, however, those duels being so quick, is basically that when our boy here is doing Mission Impossible with his socks, at least I think it's Mission Impossible. Yeah, Mission Impossible. When he's doing Mission Impossible with his socks, Ruklar is actually, or Drakova is actually doing the first duel against the hunter. Is actually doing his first duel against the hunter. So what we're seeing here, and we'll watch it again for a second time, and I'll talk over it more explicitly, is the second duel versus the hunter. And according to him, Drakova, his battle plan is just to be all over the hunter, is to keep the pet on his ass for bonus deep for reckoning charges and bonus damage, and to basically avoid the traps. Drakova is one of the best players I've ever seen at avoiding hunter traps. Like, he watches them like a hawk. I'm not even that good at it. I kind of just run over them and give no shits. But, okay, so you can see he's avoiding the hunter. He suspects that a trap is in that area, so he's trying to avoid it. So he gets scattershot. The hunter starts trying to do normal things. What are these trinkets? Okay, so how does he heal himself is a big question. Okay, so I think that's either freedom... Oh, really? Come on, bro. Come on. No. Good. No. Yes. Yes. This is always difficult to set up. Boop, boop. I like how I have to do my own sound effects. Like, boop, boop. Some people don't like that. I don't know why. So I'm curious what gets him out of this. So that's either a freedom or it is a FAP. So definitely not a FAP because he got naded. Okay, so what's nice to note here is the next time that Drakova gets on top of this hunter, the hunter is not going to be able to get him off of him very well at all, because all he's got left is he's working off of Scattershot, and he's working off of Ice Trap because his grenade is on cooldown. But what this also means is that Drakova can just catch right back up. You can counter grenade with grenade, basically. But he'll save his grenade being very tactical. Did he bop back there? Okay, so he's bopped and he healed. So you can see he's out of bubble. And he used that in the first duel clearly, which is fine. You can go super aggro, super easy. So got the ice reflector there. I wonder why he decided to ice reflector. Like, what's triggering him? What is he seeing out of the hunter here that's causing the ice reflector to go off? Because again, it's really hard to see when they put down traps in retail classic. Like, it's really hard. It was much easier on private servers because they would actually kind of duck down to the ground. Maybe it's just the fact that he stopped out here. He's suspicious as a motherfucker. So he just ice traps, or he goes for the frost reflector, takes some hits, kind of just shrugs it off. You can see he's super low life, and that's not going to change. Like, this is kind of do or die for Drakova against a hunter. He's too low life, he's too low mana not to be able to not to make it work. And as we talked about in the first video, he knows full well that there's a trap over here. And he very intelligently is just going to run into the damn thing and stun. You can see he tries to avoid it at the last second. So we see the hunter, We're supposed to have eyes on the hunter. We want to see the hunter do a little dippy dip, which suggests a trap. There's no dippy dip. Oh, God, I hate hunters so much. I don't know how we even tell that a trap goes down anymore. It's just really frustrating. Maybe it's just his sixth sense. You can kind of tell it with the timers because hunters usually like to try to time it as best as possible. But he definitely needed the stun. He needed to get that stun off pretty bad. But he does. He gets the stun. And this is what he's been saving his grenade for. Not only is it to interrupt the drinking, it's to catch back up on him. And this pet is doing this hunter no favors. Okay, so I think that's the FAP. So at this point, Drakova is like, okay, what do you have left? You've got no grenade. You've got probably no scatter shot. You've got no ice cube. I'm physically on top of you. Let's go for a free action potion. At best, he's got like an intimidating shout. Okay, so he still had some scatter, but he was dazed. And he's just going to die here. That was a trap, yeah. Wow, well, these, oh, man, I'm every time I pause, it gets my timing on this matchup completely off. Like, oh, he doesn't have scatter shot. He doesn't have, like, nope, he does. And that just ends it. Simple. So I guess he went full aggro in both matchups, and he was just using his trinkets to avoid the traps like crazy. I can kind of suspect what trinkets he used. I'll ask him straight up. But I can kind of suspect what trinkets he used in the first duel, based purely upon what kind of... I'll ask him, but I'll make a guess because I'm very curious. What kind of trinkets he used in the second duel. My guess is he used Burlov's trinket in the first duel. What trinkets did you use first duel? Because in the second duel he used Frost Reflector. So I'm suspecting that he used Burlov's trinket in the first duel. But I don't know what the other trinket would be. Would you use a nifty stopwatch? Nifty stopwatch. No. No. Verse Hunter. I suppose I can go find the warrior. That might be an interesting duel. We can pad out the runtime of this video. I'll pause it and go find the warrior. Since dude is eating his ox. Net! Huh. Why no Barlovs or whatever? Nifty and net is fine. That is completely viable. Holy shit. Yeah, that'll work. Again, I don't like using net because I got bad. Second was like ice trap. Blocked frost trap. Oh, he doesn't have it. Okay. Would you use it if you had it? By the way, let's go get you it sometime. Yeah, I was going to call him a dickhead at the end, but it doesn't work. It might take him a while to respond, so let me think about this. So, according to Drakova, he was using, yeah, like the ice trap is fine. Other than the ice trap, second was like ice trap, so he didn't have anything behind it. Yeah. Nifty and net are perfectly fine. Like, that is a legit. But again, I don't like the net. Like, legitimately, I do not much care for the net just because I think I might, after watching the duel tournaments, yeah, I know. He knows I don't like compliments. What was I thinking about this duel? I'll pause it here and I'll go find the I'll find the warrior video in general. But I bet he's telling me to go screw myself because he knows I don't like compliments. I'm curious. Bought all the shadow resist. I never had to use it. Shadow reflector and 2 green rings. Oh, damn. All right. Burlov's trinket's really good if you're going to do that aggressive style. You can see how quickly the hunters can redo their ice traps, though. So that's kind of why I don't like that kind of play style, but if it's working for Ruklar in Tier 1 with a frickin', yeah, it's there's some serious viability there. I might have to look into adopting a very similar strategy if to go ham on people with Reckoning. I very much like him keeping the pet alive. That was very good. I don't know. Mugga Hurt might just be the better way to go, though. That might be my path to victory. I really don't know. But no, it works. You can learn a lot from stuff like this about the sheer aggression. You can see again if you look at my fresh 60 like what to do, what to wear video. You can see very clearly the win condition in Drakova's mind, where it's like, not one time did you see him really stop to... Okay, one time I think I saw him in there where he bopped himself and he healed up, but you have to make the executive decision of, rather than heal myself, I'm just going to stick on top of this hunter or this druid. All too often it's against the hunter. I'm just going to stick on top, or against casters as well. I'm going to stick on top of them, and I'm going to pump DPS into them, and that's going to be my pathway to victory. And you can be in scary hit point mode. Like, if we go back here a little bit, what we'll notice is, look how much health this hunter has, right? The hunter is above 50%. You're going to see Ruklar drop below 30%. And you just have to make the executive decision that your path to victory is just sticking on top of them and beating the crap out of them. So eats and heals back up to almost full life, probably loses every... Okay, so he's barely below half life. And Drakova was rolling around at about 30% life. This is a dead hunter, right? If you're a Reckoning Paladin with a decent weapon and you're like 20% life and the hunter's like at 50% life, that's an even fight. If you're above 50%, above 20% life and the hunter's at 50% life, this is a dead hunter. You're not actually going to survive a toe-to-toe confrontation with a Paladin. I've said it before, I'll say it again, no class in the game survives toe-to-toe engagements with properly built Paladins. They just do not. You can see he only lost 10% of his life during that entire confrontation, where he took out 50% of the hunter's life, basically. Like, this is just the nature of the beast. Drakova, what do you want, bro? What do you want? What do you want? My Stratverse Hunter was just chain trinkets and use Fat Bubble and LOH if he had to. Okay, so he had LOH on top of all of this, so he's chilling. He's fucking chilling. He's not even making executive decisions out here. He's just fucking chilling. Not worry about resets. I don't have enough mana regen to play the Mana War, and I don't have heal in combat. Okay, so yeah, if you don't have enough mana regen, let me ask him this question. Would you advise this line of play for a proper geared Holy Wreck Paladin or Ret Reckoning? That's the question I'm really curious about. Let's see. So you didn't have enough mana to play the regen game. I don't have enough mana regen to play a Mana War. I think at one point I bop Frost Reflector. You did bop and you did Frost Reflector. That's fine. Scatter, Ice Trap, Counter. Scatter, Ice Trap, Counter. You countered one Ice Trap with a Hammer of Justice stun like a fucking pimp. Also remember some anti-paladin shit, no bubble. Yeah, you can't double bubble, which was kind of fucking crap. If I had T2, I think I'd go holy. Depends on things. Okay. Alright, that's all I need to know for my Holy Reckoning purposes. Didn't have enough mana, had to do some, and I guess he just went in there and he just mauled the shit out of the hunter in both cases. But you can see how terrifying it is to watch what a paladin, when they're physically on top of somebody, is capable of. I'm gonna go find the warrior video, and you're probably gonna see the exact same scenario play out, which is nobody and their dog can go toe to toe with a properly built paladin. It just doesn't happen. But anyways, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to go find it right there. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to mention. I keep forgetting to mention. I got to ask him really fast here. I keep forgetting to mention. I saw in one BG of yours that you Blessing of Protection out of a scatter shot? Question marks. So what happened in one of his recent BGs was a hunter comes up to him, a hunter scatter shots him, and much like we do as paladins against the Goblin Rocket Helm, he just bopped out of the scatter shot. And he bopped out of the scatter shot so quickly that he was able to dance around the ice trap and then get on the hunter and start beating the shit out of him. This is when he was a Ret Reckoning Paladin. So when I say he dances around and he starts beating the shit out of him, I mean like the moment he closed back up with that hunter, the hunter just went and died horribly. But the fact that you can theoretically bop out of a scatter shot is pretty terrifying, me personally. Pretty sure he's in a PG, so I'll leave him alone for a while. But I'm going to pause the video here, see what his answer is, and go find that warrior matchup. Because, you know, we need that long-form content. If I put out, you know, I start putting out less than a 30-minute video here, we're going to have problems. Okay, we are back, and we actually found the matchup. So first off, let's see what Drakova had to say. I didn't get a response on the Blessing of Protection out of Scattershot thing, but I swear I've seen it, so feel free to test it. It's pretty terrifying. If you're fast enough on it, then you can just avoid the trap. When I watched him do it in the Battleground, literally what happened... Actually, you know what? I'll pause it, and I'll go find it in the Battleground real fast. Yeah, stand by here. Alright, back again. So many pauses. Okay, so I actually found it, and it's in... let's see here. This is... Drakova ranking 6-1-20 at about 19 minutes and 40 seconds. And this is going to be a real shit video because, yeah, whatever. You're not going to be able to see crap, so you might want to go look at it yourself. But you can clearly see him. Let's turn down the volume. You can clearly see him closing in on this hunter. And then the hunter scatter shots him. Scatter shots him like right here. Boom. So you can see him walking around like an idiot, all scatter shotted like. And then all of a sudden he like Blessing of Protection's out of it. Boom. Blessing of Protection. You can see it up there. But what's fascinating about this is he's literally waiting for the hunter to put down the trap. There's like a split second while he's dancing around. Boom. Trap goes down. Boom. Blessing of Protection comes out. And he's away from the trap. And you can see the trap there. But he just gets out of the trap. And he's like, oh, bop the trap. No, he bops the scatter shot, and then he proceeds to just murder the hunter. And I was like, you can bop a scatter shot? WTF? What? So that's actually a really big deal, because if you can bop the scatter shot, it becomes extremely easy for the Paladin to to avoid the ice trap. To not only use up the ice trap, like you wait for the hunter to put down the ice trap, then you bop, then you get away from it. And you can basically do what Drakova just did here and just murder them. This would be 10 times more valuable if you were a Holy Shockadin, because you could easily stay at range from the trap and just like blast the crap out of the hunter. Got to turn off my aircon over here. But anyways, back to where we were before. So where we were before is basically Paladin versus Warrior. And if you have to tell you what a deep prot Paladin versus Warrior matchup looks like, look no further. So again, the moral of the story is, does he have the right gear? Yes. Is he going to use the right tactics? Well, we're going to see. So the right tactics versus a warrior are typically, you almost by necessity have to have freedom up at all times. I think the warrior, if I'm looking at it correctly at this long range, let's do a timestamp. Timestamp is like 2 hours and 14 minutes for this duel. I think the warrior fapped super early. I could be wrong, or maybe Drakova's fapping or freedoming. That's hard to really tell. But, is this Nuka Pepper's warrior? Nuka Bopper. Booper? Okay. What was I thinking about here? So the biggest thing the two big things to remember with the Paladin versus Rogue matchup, he's going to win because he's deep prot pretty much. But the two biggest things are, your stun is for healing, and there's a very specific time to stun the warrior for the purposes of healing. And This is if you feel the need to get good at it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to feel the need to get good at it. But it should be noted that the Mortal Strike debuff lasts 10 seconds, and a warrior can only Mortal Strike every 6 seconds. What this means is, around about the time you have 5 seconds left on your Mortal Strike debuff, throw out your stun. And if you succeed in stunning the warrior, what will happen is... Make sure I'm recording over here. Okay. What'll end up happening is you stun the warrior, and then you immediately go into 2 holy lights. Your first holy light will have the 50% reduction. However, your second holy light will will go off about half a second. And I see even more than that. The Mortal Strike debuff will have fallen off for an entire second before your second holy light gets through. So you can also think of it like you could also do some DPS for like 2.5 seconds or so, and then go for a holy light. But more like 3 seconds because of the global cooldown. But whatever. The point being that if you stun a warrior at the proper time, you can get in at least one of your holy lights in between the Mortal Strikes. Now, what we're seeing here is that Ruklar doesn't even have to do this. The other thing that's super important for a warrior is your stun is kind of life. You use your stuns for heals initially. You can theoretically also use a grenade for a heal if you think you can get away with that. But you want to use your stuns for heals first, and then you want to use your bubbles, and then you're back to using your stuns, and so forth and so on. I'd hold grenade for catching back up to a warrior. You really don't want to let the warrior resetting, and for this reason, as a warrior, you're going to be spending, as a paladin, I mean, you're going to be spending the almost entirety of the fight in Blessing of Freedom. Now, what I'm suspecting that Drakova is doing here is that this stun is being used not because he needs to heal, but because his Blessing of Protection is about to fall off, and this stun duration will be perfectly lined up so that he can basically make it to his next Blessing of Freedom. That would be the correct play, unless he thinks he can just straight up kill him. Based upon the length of this supposed freedom, however, I'm pretty sure that this is a FAP. This is not a freedom, this is a FAP. So when his FAP wears off, he's got freedom behind it. This warrior can't escape. This warrior's just going to die. And wasn't even really a chance, snowball's chance in hell. But we'll zip forward to the next duel between a warrior and if you can FAP as a paladin, it's like he's also deep. Dear fucking God, he is a deep prot paladin versus a warrior. I don't care if you're arms. It's like he's just going to be blocking all kinds of terrible, terrible things that are supposedly coming his way. So again, you can barely see this. I would go look at the timestamp if you're interested in this matchup at all. So out comes the stun. The stun got trinketed that time, I'm pretty sure. So let's see here if we can get out of this wood. So I'm pretty sure that was the stun animation I saw coming out of Ruklar. Again, this is either Crusader going off, or this is Zandalari Hero Charm. Either one is fine. That ZD Trinket is amazing versus warriors. You really want that spell damage. You can also kind of tell, let's see. So he hits him. Yeah, he goes for the stun, but I think the stun just gets trinketed. Oh, so since it went off on the warrior too, I guess that's Crusader. I guess that's just what Crusader looks like. Okay. Dude, silly me. You can tell I never use Crusader. I almost never use Crusader on any of my Paladin builds. It's just... I didn't like it on private servers, and I haven't got any statistics currently on Crusader, so I guess if anybody out there actually knows the stats on Crusader, like its proc rate, is it PPM, or is it a flat proc rate, please let me know. If it's a flat proc rate, holy crap, I'll put it on a Flurry Axe, no problem, but if it's PPM, then hell fucking no. Maybe I'll just ask Drakova after this, maybe he knows, because he's clearly got Crusader on his Deathbringer there. But yeah, so one of the easiest ways to kill a warrior, which is really nice. The other window for healing is basically what I'm trying to say is when you're dueling a warrior, you're almost always going to be forced to have Blessing of Freedom up. And since there's a 4-second window between Blessing of Freedoms, if you have improved Blessing of Freedom, The best course of action is to wait for that like 5 seconds on your mortal strike, somewhere around when your Blessing of Freedom is about to wear off, or when it's already worn off. Throw out your stun. Go for the heals. They may or may not trinket your stun. Doesn't really matter. You got bubble, even if that fails. But yeah, eventually you'll catch them without. What I'm saying is, eventually you'll catch them without the ability to trinket off your stun. And basically what you're doing is you're not only using the stun to heal, but you're trying to use the stun to bridge the gap between your two freedoms. And if you can get between one freedom and another freedom without the warrior even having the chance to hamstring you and physically get away from you, then you're gonna see the whole "I'm gonna kite the paladin" meta that they try to do sometimes just breaks down, and they have to basically stand toe to toe with you for the entirety of the matchup, and they just get pummeled into dirt. They just freaking die. This is another thing that can happen. They'll try to fear you, and then they'll go for the reset off the fear. If you still have bubble, you can decide to bubble out of it. It's not a big deal just to let them heal up a bit. It's more of a big deal based upon the fact that they've gotten physical distance away from you. When I fight warriors, if memory serves, I typically use a PvP trinket precisely to just trinket this fear, because I really do not like the fear. There's not a lot of trinkets that really help you too much in this matchup, in my opinion. Some people like the Netomatic. I mean, it's perfectly viable. What other trinkets do people use? The ZG trinket is kind of your boy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, just the spell damage coming out of it is a really big deal. Man, come on. All he's got to do is throw a grenade. Maybe he doesn't have it. Hard to tell from our dancing boy over here. Ooh, yeah, he's just gonna heal Wrath the end. Come on, he's dead. Yeah. Grenade? Oh, he's not dead yet? This is when you as the paladin just kind of wait 6 seconds and are like, okay, whatever, I'll just throw another one. That's cute. He's dead. Yep, and that's 2-2, and that, ladies and gentlemen, ends our demonstration of how to deal with warriors. Gear you need to be using with a warrior. Let me think about this. Only very specifically geared two-handed paladins really should be going up against two-handed warriors. So Drakova has a build where he focuses on parry, and he can go with his Reckoning build, and he ends up being able to go toe-to-toe with warriors with a two-handed Ret Paladin. It should also be noted that the two-handed Ret Paladin scales much harder as time goes on, especially Ret Reckoning. So that eventually you don't care that the warrior is a two-handed. You can just start going to two-handed. You don't have to sword and board versus a warrior, is what I'm saying. You can go two-handed and you can just murder them that way. But it really does rely upon more of the scaling and more of the defensive options, such as parry. You really need to have 5 out of 5 parry to do that. Holy Reckoning can kind of get away with a two-handed spec, but the way Seal of Righteousness works and spell power and it loving one-handed weapons, you definitely want to be using a one-handed weapon. Something I've thought a lot about recently is, what am I thinking about? Hakari Manslayer. Okay, so if I'm going up against an arms warrior, like a big two-handed warrior or a big two-handed a Reckoning Paladin, the last thing I want to do is give either of those guys parry haste or Reckoning charges. So Flurry Axe really isn't my boy anymore under those circumstances, and I'm much better off either using an Edward the Odd. It's like, yeah, you're giving them some parry haste, but Edward the Odd kind of comes in pimp. But more importantly, I think Hakari Manslayer, the lifesteal one-handed axe from ZG, is absolutely amazing under those conditions, because it's not too fast and it's not too slow. Like, technically, Deathbringer is a little bit too slow to be going up against an arms warrior. It's perfectly serviceable. Again, if your other gearing options are good, you're going to be good. But if you're looking for the ideal weapon, like Hakari Manslayer with spell power gear is probably the way to go for Holy. And the reason for that is because the life stealing from Manslayer gives no shits about Mortal Strike. It's a lot of extra magic damage that you're pumping into the warrior, and it's got a nice speed at a 2-second speed where it's not too fast and it's not too slow for the job at hand for Seal of Righteousness and stuff like that. There's also a line of play where you use Mugger Hurt. Like, if the warrior is doing some serious kiting shenanigans, or God forbid, you just need to heal or something, you could just whip out a Mugger Hurt and beat them to death that way. But yeah, I had never made a guide on how to deal with warriors. But the biggest trick with warriors is just knowing that your stun is for healing. Your stun is not for killing. It is predominantly for healing. In this case, with Drakova, it was for killing, at least in the first matchup, because he wasn't taking any damage whatsoever because he's a deep prop paladin and he gives no shits. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Very few paladins complain about the warrior matchup. I'll say that much. A lot of them complain about the versus rogue matchup. And the answer is just go watch my guide and wear the right gear. And if you don't have spell power, do what Drakova did. If you do have spell power, then consider getting Uther Strength Trinket, Skullflame Shield, and Edward the Odd. He had an Edward. Drakova had an Edward the Odd in this duel, but he never had to break it out because the rogues and the hunters were not causing him enough stress, basically. Edward the Odd is also kind of pimp versus shamans for a few reasons, but that's purely theoretical right now between me and Drakova. We have a different... he wants to do an Edward the Odd line of play, I think, versus shamans. I want to do a more DPS, and one of those two is going to work, is basically the moral of the story. But anyways, I've been talking for hours now, like literally almost 3 hours, so I'm just going to go play some World of Warcraft for once. Oh, fun fact on the gearing front. Our T2 escapades continue. So I've been raiding for like 8 weeks, and we've seen 11 T2 drops in 8 weeks, 7 of which were Tier 2 boots. So we've seen 7 Tier 2 boots in 8 weeks of raiding, and it accounts for like more than 60% of our actual Tier 2 drops, which is why you haven't seen me make any duel videos, because I'm not going to do duel videos until I get my frickin' Tier 2. It's kind of important. Don't have the right gear, you can't learn the right lines of play. It's as simple as that. It's my theory. What else is there? However, last night when I was doing ZG with Ruklar, I got really lucky and I won the rolls on Hakari Manslayer, and I got my ZG trinket for once. So I won both those rolls. It was like against like 5 or 6 people each, and it was like I got my Hakari Manslayer and I got my ZG trinket, and I'm quite happy. I need to be looking into getting if any of you guys have it, definitely hit me up with it. But it's the Jack Licks hammer. Let's go find this stupid thing real fast. Wowhead Classic. Yes, indeed. Jack Licks. What a weird name. Jack Licks. Yeah, I know he licks. Jack Licks Crusher. Okay. So if anybody actually has this, because I've been getting reports from other paladins on the subject of Jack Licks Crusher, a 10% drop and I haven't seen it? Oh man, that sucks. So you can see its speed is pretty decent at 3.6. Its DPS is dog shit at 56. However, its proc on hit effect, we've been getting reports from other paladins. I think I said this in a previous video. But we've been getting reports from other paladins that this thing has like a 20% base chance to proc, and then it's got like a 40% chance to proc with Seal of Righteousness. And on top of that, the procs can proc more procs. So this weapon might be our go-to RNGesus Wreck Bomb weapon for certain classes, like trying to deal with mages. Like you just hit a mage and you just hope that in a single Wreck Bomb you can blow them up, which I was hoping would be Halberd of Smiting, but Halberd of Smiting is an equip prefix, suffix, or whatever. But, yeah, so if anybody has a Jack Lick hammer, that's next on my list to go get and to go test out. Somebody was testing out Silent Fang and kind of determined that Silent Fang might have a 10% proc rate with SOR. I'm not a big fan of Silent Fang, but it definitely has its place. Like I can't knock what Silent Fang is capable of in certain matchups. Like I don't think it's a kill weapon in my book. It had a very low proc chance on private servers. I'll put it like that. It was like a 3% or less proc chance, even with Seal of Righteousness on private servers. So at a 10%, it might be viable. The one place I could really see it being viable off the top of my head is versus Elemental Shamans. And the reason for that is if you get that Silence proc on an Elemental Shaman, they cannot stop you from healing for a rather extended period of time. And the weapon is fast enough that it might actually be viable. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that at some point in time. But right now, Jeklik's Crusher, definitely on my radar. But yeah, so I've been talking for hours. I'm going to end it here. And Deus Volt, as always.